show you how to set up a Cypress test run in Jenkins pipeline. I'll give you all the steps you need in order to do that. It's going to involve Docker, VS Code, that kind of stuff. So to start with, we'll just look for Docker desktop. Click on the first link. Go ahead and download the desktop version. For Windows, you may need Windows Pro or higher in order for this to work, but whatever else you end up using, Linux or Apple, you should be good with the Docker desktop itself. And then after you have downloaded and installed everything, you should be able to start up Docker desktop and have a GUI in your window. And of course, you should see the Docker service icon either at the top, or of course, if you're on Windows, it'd probably be at the bottom when the service is there. So anyways, now that we have a Docker environment set up, I'm going to go to a GitHub repository for it, getting a Jenkins image to run in Docker. So we're going to copy this second command here. And then what I want you to do is open Visual Studio Code. And before you get started, make sure that you have this plugin installed on your VS Code first. So this is a Docker plugin that is used for connecting to the Docker desktop itself. So basically you can open up another like another VS Code window session that's actually running inside of or connected to the container environment itself, which is, I believe, is separate from the host environment. Not quite sure how it works, but it's pretty nifty. So make sure you have that plugin installed. Also, after you install the plugin, you will need to restart VS Code. So just quit or exit out of it and then start it back up again, and then you should be good to go. So with that aside, go ahead and in your Visual Studio Code, open up the terminal. And from the terminal, we'll go ahead and paste in that command that we copied from the GitHub repo. I already have the image, so it's gonna go pretty fast. If you don't have it, it might take up to like 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes. But go ahead and copy this cryptic line right here, which is actually a password for our initial setup in Jenkins. And our environment should be running on localhost port 8080. And there it is. Type in the password, hit enter. And then we'll want to use the install suggested plugins. And I'll get back to you as soon as this is done. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set up our user account. Can be just about anything you want to. And once you have that all entered in, go ahead and continue all the way to our Jenkins environment. Get rid of this alert. And going to make sure that we can log out and log back in, because if you don't do anything for a while, it'll log you out, of course. Now then, let's go ahead and make sure that Jenkins is working properly. Create a hello script, freestyle script, I believe. Scroll down to the bottom here and go to the build steps section. Click on that drop down and click on the execute shell option. Echo hello, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Save. All right. Now it should be able to build if we click on build now. And looks like I accidentally clicked on it twice. But if we click on one of the numbers here and go to our console output, you can see it ran the command and outputted the result, which was hello 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And looks like our environment is set up and working properly. Now what I want you to do is go back to your VS Code. Go ahead and split your terminal. And we're going to go ahead and kind of just move this all the way over here, because what we're going to do next is we're going to look for our Docker container. With an ls. And you'll want to copy this container ID right here. And we're going to go root into it. So type in the following command, docker exec -it, and then -u for the root user. Paste in your container ID and type in /bin/bash. And then if you're on Windows, it'll probably just be bash. All right, we should be rooted in. So if we do a uname, it should say Linux. Very good. So we'll go ahead and get started with updating our OS. And it's a Debian-based distribution, so we'll use apt-get update. And then in order to run Cypress, we're going to install a few more things. We're going to install nodejs, apt-get install nodejs. And then apt-get install npm, node package manager. we need to type in, or actually copy and paste the following command here. I'll be sure to include that in the description, and you'll also be able to see it in the repo on my GitHub account. Post a link to that as well. So that was for, of course, the NVM, and we're going to have to source that since we kind of installed it manually, I believe. So home NVM, and then nvm shell script. All right, next we're going to use our node package manager to install N globally, the letter N. And then we're going to run the letter N command and type stable after that. And that should upgrade node to version 18, which it is doing. And then we'll need that in order to install more dependencies that Cypress will need in order to run properly. So go back to your web browser and type Cypress dependencies in a new tab. Click on the first link, installing Cypress, and then look for Ubuntu/Debian. And from there, go ahead and just copy that command. Go back to VS Code and install the dependencies. Yes. All right. So now that our dependencies are installed, I believe we should be ready to move on to the next phase. And that is go to the Docker plugin that I mentioned earlier for you to install. And from there, you should see our running container, which the play button here means it's currently running. Go ahead and right click and select the option Attach Visual Studio Code. It'll open up a new VS window, and then this is going to be running in the Docker container, which has your Jenkins environment. So again, let's just make sure that we're in the right place. So looks like we're the Jenkins user. And if we do uname, it should say Linux. Who am I? I am Jenkins. Very good. Now what I want you to do is to right click in this empty pane to the left here and type in, or actually select add folder to workspace, and then you will type in var/Jenkins home, or just select it and then look for workspace, hit OK. And now you should be essentially in the Jenkins workspace itself through your second Visual Studio Code window. And then you'll have to do the same thing sort of with the terminal. You're just going to cd into that directory. Cd into tilde, which is Jenkins home directory /workspaces. And then from there, we should see the hello directory that we created, which is our freestyle build that we did earlier. And let's go ahead and make another directory. Make dir sample Cypress. I'll go ahead and cd into that. And we'll go ahead and set up our environment. So we'll initialize npm with -y. Looks like that worked out just fine. npm install Cypress -save dev. Now, the problem with trying to run Cypress in a container like this is if you're on a Windows machine, you run into a problem where it won't create the initial directory setup for Cypress to use. So Cypress creates a few directories and files in order to run properly, but it will only do that if you basically run the GUI for the first time. Well, when you're in the container, for some reason, it can't do that if you're on a Windows. It has something to do with GPU compatibility issue. At least that's the case for me. So what I did is I created another npm package, which I posted to be available on npm.js, and that should be npm install cyconfig. And I cannot believe I'm the first person to have come up with this package, but of course it was bound to happen, I'm sure. And after you install cyconfig, just do npx cyconfig. If you notice on your left, you should see the Cypress directory, and now everything should be set up as you need it to be. And I'll just delete it and show it to you again. So delete permanently, and then I'll just do it again just to show you for demonstration purposes. Run it, and there it is. So it's all the files you'll need. And we should be ready to try it out. So let's go ahead and run a Cypress command in headless mode in our terminal just right here, just to make sure it's working properly. npx cypress run -j spec, and then quote cypress e2e spec.sci.js. And now it should be able to run. Yep, there we go. And that looks like a success. So now what we're going to do is go back to our other VS window and go to our Files tab, and it looks like we don't have a workspace open, so we'll just go ahead and see. Open folder. I think I had one created earlier. Yeah, we'll just do this. Open that up. Start container. Okay, looks like we're still running. Very good, very good. All right, so go back to our window again, and then we're going to create a new file, call it Jenkins. And from in there, we're going to write a Groovy script to set up our pipeline. So start with pipeline. And then from there, we'll give it an agent, Annie, stages. And there'll be 4 stages. So first will be stage. Which will be get code. And then steps, sh. We're just simulating a build procedure. received. And we'll just copy these stages. And then we'll go ahead and change this to build. And then build finished. And then this will be where our Cypress script will be run. So Cypress run. And instead of an echo, what we're going to do is paste in our command here to run Cypress. And then for some reason, if you don't include this environment variable that I'm about to type in, Jenkins will mess up the log terminal. So it'll be kind of messy. It'll still work, and you'll still be able to tell whether or not it passed, but it's just going to be kind of cryptic to look at. So you just want to set the no color variable to 1. And then we'll just say that we're going to deploy our code if Cypress passed and everything else ran just fine. Code is deployed. All right, so that should be our Jenkins file that we need. Really, I was just using this in order to get it set up. And actually, considering it restarted like that, let's just make sure that this still works. So cd Cypress, npx Cypress run spec 2e spec sci.js. Yeah, it looks like we're still good. All right, so we'll just go ahead and go back to our Jenkins website. Go to the dashboard. And we were logged out because either it's been a while, actually, probably because it got restarted. But anyways, just type in your username and password that you know works. Afterwards, when you're in your environment, go create a new item, set it to a pipeline, and we have to name it exactly what was in the directory that we created. So that would be sample Cypress. So that's the exact directory we created in our workspace. So this will be our workspace, sample Cypress. Hit OK. And then scroll down to the bottom here. Make sure pipeline script is selected instead of the one for SEM. And then paste in your Jenkins file text into this script. And let's just make sure that it looks good. Don't think there are any issues. Yeah. Hit save. And then see what happens. I'm going to build it. And looks like it got the code, built the code, ran Cypress, and then deployed in our simulate environment. So we'll go ahead and click on, hover over our logs here, code received, build finished, and Cypress ran just fine. Yep, finished. Yep. all specs passed. Very good. And then technically it would have deployed if that's what we want to do. So there you have it.